let's bridge over to infinity. Now, before you bridge over, you have to make sure to follow the checklist and just confirm all the information. Confirm the spelling, the phone number, the address. Make sure you have the source, your initials. Make sure once again, the spelling of the driver, the date of birth, the gender, marital status, the license number. Make sure everything is accurate. Make sure you have the right vehicle, that the VIN number is there, and also the coverages. Make sure that you have the right coverages. Now you're gonna go back. You're gonna go to the company selection option, the rating results option. You're gonna select Infinity. You're gonna go to the bridge. You're gonna choose Infinity. You're gonna press OK. It's gonna log you into the website. The RoboForm information is gonna be there. Just log in. If it asks for a password, just press pass, PASS. If not, just it's gonna log you automatically. So once again, with Infinity, if everything matches on the FSE, it's gonna be pretty simple. So on the first page, you really don't have to do anything unless you're changing the future effective date. Now for the driver's section, Infinity runs a consumer report. So technically they run a report of the address. So anyone that lives under the same address may show up. So in this case, we have 3 additional drivers that are showing up that, as you can see, they're not on the FSC. On the FSC, there's only one driver, Tyrone. On the website, we have 3 additional drivers. So for Tyrone, you have to make sure that the total US license with Infinity, you have to make sure that it's 20, nothing higher than 20. If it's higher, usually the rate is a little bit higher. So just confirm the information. You could just do a quick glance, a quick review, gender, marital status, date of birth. Now for the additional 3 drivers that are automatically added, we have to exclude them. So this is technically the system that we're going to follow. Now, if the date of birth is not selected and everything is 0, then just make up the date of birth or ask the customer if they know the driver and ask them for the date of birth. Now, in this case, all the date of births are 00 for the month and the day, but the year has been selected. So you just leave it alone. Now, you just choose the information. The gender, usually it's already selected. So all you have to do is go to the relationship to the insured. Now you're going to ask the customer if they know this driver, and if they do, then select relative or other relative or other. If they don't know the person, then you could always select person not known to me. Now to keep it easy, just select other, because we're going to exclude the driver anyways. And then you're going to go to driver status, which is right here, and instead of insured, you're going to switch it to excluded all other. And then for the driving experience, you're going to select 0. You're going to type 0 on all the options. So once again, let's move on to the second or the third driver. You're going to select the relationship. Let's just choose other. Driver status, instead of insured, we're going to select excluded, all other, and you're going to type in 0 on all the tabs. And you're going to do the same thing for all the drivers. So anyone that's automatically added, this is the process that you're going to take. You're going to select other for the relationship. You're going to select excluded all others for the driver status, and you're going to type 0 on all the tabs. So once again, you're going to ask the customer if they know these 3 additional people that are showing up under the consumer report. Regardless if they know them or not, you're still going to exclude them from the policy. Technically, that means that if they drive the vehicle, if they were to drive the vehicle, there's no coverage for them. So this is the only thing that you're most likely going to have to do besides selecting the next option on the rest of the tabs. Now, as soon as you're done, press next. sometimes additional vehicles are also added, and that's due to the consumer report. So there's additional vehicles that are added that are not on the quote. So in this case, we're only quoting one driver, one vehicle. Of course, 4 drivers are actually on the quote now. One rated driver, 3 excluded drivers. But if there was any additional vehicles, just delete them. So in this case, there's nothing else. We're gonna go next. Now this is the coverage section. Now there's 2 different programs. You could always move from one program to the other. There's a couple changes that you would actually have to consider, which we'll talk about those on another section. So for now, let's just keep everything the same. It gives you your monthly payment of $62 and submission of $86. We're keeping the same basic liability coverages. We're gonna go next. For the application step 1, you don't do anything, you go next. For the step 2, you don't do anything either, just go next. Now, for the training purposes only, I'm actually gonna run the reports just to give you an actual glance of the process. So you go to order reports. It's gonna take you to this undisclosed drivers. Even if there's any information on this section, just ignore it, just continue. And then it's gonna take you to this other page. Now, MVR clue violations. If there's any tickets, it's gonna show up in the middle. So it shows MVR record is clear. So that means the customer does not have any violations within the last 3 years for minor violations or any major violations within the last 7 years. Now, in the bottom, it does show continuous license field change due to suspended license, months license 27. So let me share with you the meaning of this. Now, if this ever shows up, that means that the license was suspended at one point, and they actually reinstated their license 27 months. So technically, about 2 years and a couple months, they actually got their license back. So yeah, so 2 years and 2 months of reinstating their policy. So if there's any activity, print it, because we're gonna need to review this with the client. So continue. Now, if there's any tickets or any violations, go back to the rate option to check the new monthly payment. So I'm not sure if you remember, but the payment was roughly 60 something dollars and submission was about 80 something. So based on the suspension, the monthly payment is now $77 and submission is $110. So always run the information before we disclose all the details of the monthly payment, simply because if there's any violations, we have to run the record before, so at least we're offering accurate information. So once again, this is bridging from the FSE to Infinity. Everything is pretty simple. The only thing that may be a little bit different is the driver section. If there's any additional drivers automatically added based on that consumer report, what you're going to do is you're going to select the relationship, select other, exclude all others for the driver status, and you're going to type 0 on all the driving experience. And if there's any vehicles added, automatically just delete them. Those are the 2 things that you're going to have to do. Everything else is pretty simple. You really don't have to make any changes.